breaking down the perfect diet part 4. This is the last part. There's 4 parts.
Welcome to the Restorative Longevity Podcast, where we share how to increase your quality of life while also increasing your longevity. Now let's welcome our host, Jimmy Yen, also known as the Acu-Sensei. Jimmy is a licensed acupuncturist, herbalist, nutritionist, and restorative longevity expert dedicated to guiding you on your journey to vibrant health and lasting wellness.
And this is the last part of breaking down the perfect diet. And what is a perfect diet? The perfect diet is a version of the Mediterranean diet. That is the perfect diet. And that is just my opinion. Other practitioners may disagree, and that's okay. Everybody has their own opinion. My opinion is not based first on research. It's not based off of what I read on PubMed. That's because that's where all the research is published. It is not, I did not get this from reading a book. I did not get it from listening to other people. The reason why I say the Mediterranean is the perfect diet is from my own personal clinical experience. And so I own the #1 rated acupuncture and wellness clinic in North America. And we have treated thousands of patients. And through those actual patients, that are paying my clinic to treat them, what are we providing them and what are the results that we see? It's a version of the Mediterranean diet. And I also, I call it the Mediterranean diet, but it's very similar to the traditional Chinese medicine diet. And so, but it's still, these are all versions of it, right? I like to call our diet that we prescribe at Achieve Integrative Health, the Restorative Longevity Diet. So it's not just a diet, it's a lifestyle. So that is why I say the Mediterranean diet is, the perfect diet, because it's through actual treating patients, monitoring patients, and seeing them get results. It's not just a fad diet. It's not, again. Now, do I look at research to confirm what I've seen clinically? Absolutely. But my original decision of saying, hey, what produces the best results long-term, not short-term, long-term. Most diets only look at short-term, and short-term could be 1 year, right? I'm looking at 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, right? What is the diet that produces the best results for long-term benefit? And that is what in this series we've been talking about. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, hit the subscribe button. If you know someone who needs this information, who needs actual information, actual real life patients, okay? Not people who are participating in a research. What's the difference? People participating in a research, the research university, the research company, they are paying these people to participate, okay? There's a big difference. When someone pays you to do something, you're going to be encouraged to, say the things that they want you to say. My research, the clinical research, right? Patients are paying us, okay? And guess what? If the advice we give them doesn't work, they're not paying us anymore. That's a big difference. I like to call real life research, clinical research versus the other type of research, okay? But let's come back to this. So the Mediterranean diet, I've already shared in the previous, in part 3, that the Mediterranean diet also is in China, right? So the Mediterranean diet, the word Mediterranean diet isn't, in my opinion, it's not the best terminology, because people think, oh, only the countries in around the Mediterranean Sea eat this diet. No, people in the blue zones eat the Mediterranean diet, and only 2 of them are in the Mediterranean Sea. The other 3 are not even close to it, right? Here's another country, India, right? India. So why India? India is known for its curry, but India has the lower incidence of Alzheimer's compared to most developed countries, including the US. India has lower incidence of Alzheimer's, people going, losing their mind, right? Not losing their memory. And so compared to developed countries like the US, UK, Australia, and blah, 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 right? Yes, they are not a blue zone area because they have a lower life expectancy rate, but what they eat, kind of already spilled beans, it's their diet that allows them to have a low incidence of Alzheimer's. Here's the fact. Americans are 8 times more likely to get Alzheimer's than India, people that live in India. People here in the US have they are 8 times more likely to get Alzheimer's than people in India. And America has the best healthcare. That's what we say, right? So just think about that. Okay, so why? Why do they have such a low incidence of Alzheimer's? It's their diet. I already gave you the key. It's diet, right? They use spices. And those spices, like we say, we know Indian curry. Those spices are brain protective, right? And turmeric. Everybody knows of turmeric. It's so popular, right? Turmeric is actually a Chinese herb also. Turmeric is actually used as an anti-inflammatory for shoulder pain, specifically shoulder pain, but it can be used for upper body joints pain. Turmeric, okay? Now, here's another word that most everybody has heard of, curcumin or curcumin, however you pronounce it. I know I'm butchering it. I apologize. But the active ingredient, curcumin, that is in turmeric, okay? Curcumin is one ingredient in turmeric. It helps protect against cognitive loss and dementia by keeping our neurons, so our nerve cells, healthy as we age. So this one ingredient, okay, curcumin, helps keep our neurons, our nerve cells healthy. And here's a lab study. They found that curcumin they fed mice, so it's not done on humans, it's done on mice. They fed these mice curcumin, and they found that these mice that took curcumin had developed fewer amyloid plaques. Amyloid plaques, so plaques in the brain, associated with Alzheimer's. So that's what they found. So they also found this, people who take curcumin, that older animals, if they already had plaques, they would experience a significant reduction in the number and severity of these plaques. What does that tell us? That tells us curcumin, this single ingredient in turmeric, is anti-inflammatory. And it's not only anti-inflammatory, plaques are hard. When plaques form, they become hard. So this is something that curcumin, what we call it, can break up. It can break up plaques, because they found older animals, so they already had plaques, and then they fed them curcumin, and those plaques started to get dissolved, right? They haven't done this on humans, okay? And they probably won't, because why? And the only time they will do this is when a pharmaceutical company can patent curcumin, but you can't because it's naturally occurring in turmeric, right? Well, and there's probably some other reasons, but so that's pretty encouraging, right? So even if you have plaques in your brain, or you have plaques, for example, the diagnosis just escaped my brain. You have plaques along your spine, right? You should try and take turmeric, curcumin, right? So it is possible, once again, that, this is what scientists have said, that maybe eating the spice will produce a better result than actually eating a single ingredient. So turmeric, curcumin. Curcumin is a single ingredient in turmeric. What the researchers have not done is they have not fed the mice turmeric to see if the results are even better than feeding the mice a single ingredient of curcumin, right? And that's the problem with Western science and Western medicine, and I understand it. I'm a biochemist, so I understand knowing the single ingredient, what's the active ingredient, what's the real cause of, if something helps. But the problem is curcumin is not turmeric, because curcumin is just a single ingredient in turmeric, just like vitamin C is not in orange, right? Vitamin C and orange are two different things. So if you want to have a benefit, eat eat your way to healthy lifestyle. Eat your way to longevity, restore longevity, okay? Not pop a pill. So some of you may be thinking, oh, I don't like using turmeric, so I'm just going to go pop curcumin. Okay, great. But you're missing out on all of the other antioxidants, all the other benefits of turmeric, okay? So that's India. And the last thing I want to talk about is I want to mention another diet, right, that people like to popularize, commercialize, but it's the same thing as a Mediterranean diet. It's called the antioxidant diet. The antioxidant diet, okay? So the antioxidant diet is really just another version of the Mediterranean diet. Or I'm going to start calling it another version of it's just part of the restorative longevity diet, okay? It's a spin-off. And what's the difference? The antioxidant diet is more emphasis on plant-based foods. Surprise, surprise, right? These days, I know most people, especially like here in Texas, everybody, we like our animal protein. We like our meat, we like our steaks, we like our burgers. And so we're going to do anything and everything to get some type of research to prove to ourselves that we can eat meat and be healthy. So we pay scientists to manipulate the data to prove the animal protein diet, carnivore diet, the caveman diet, Atkins diet is healthy for the human being when it's not. Okay? Again, this is just me seeing actual patients. We have patients that come to us. They've done the keto diet, they've done the carnivore diet. Initially they felt great, and then problems occurred. Side effects from that diet occurred, and a lot of it is starting to damage their organs. But these are the things they don't tell you about, okay? These are the things that we see in our clinic, because people usually try those fast fad diets first, whether it's an autoimmune diet, paleo autoimmune diet. They eat a lot of animal protein because our body needs protein, which is true. Our body does need protein, okay? But not as much as everybody says that, So we have patients that have done all those diets and they got great results short term. And then problems start to happen. Their organs start to get damaged. And then they can't figure out why, right? And that's when they come to our clinic. And that's when we receive them. And guess what? We put them on something like the antioxidant diet, which I'm going to go through in detail. And just give you some examples of what's the antioxidant diet. It's in essence just a Mediterranean diet, okay? So the theory is that whoever created the word antioxidant diet, the theory is that if you eat more antioxidants, you have it more at your disposal, which will destroy free radicals, because free radicals are waste. When waste clumps together, right, it forms a cancer cell, it forms a tumor. And if a tumor starts to grow, it becomes cancerous, right? So cancer is formed from free radicals, okay? So if you eat enough antioxidants gobble up free radicals, okay? That's why you want antioxidants. And they also lower your brain's risk of oxidative stress. So it helps your brain from rusting, because when your brain starts to rust, it starts to degenerate fast. You age faster, okay? So the plant kingdom is abundant in antioxidants. That's why it's plant-based, right? The plant kingdom has what, the new terminology of superfoods. I'm going to go over some of the superfoods, right? It's available to everybody. You don't have to go to a specialty store to buy these foods. But antioxidants, vegetables, the plant-based foods have vitamin C, antioxidants like vitamin C, E, beta carotene, selenium, several phytonutrients. And there's also carotenoids. And I know those of you who are going to criticize me for butchering these names, I know I'm mispronouncing them, okay? So I apologize for that. Carotenoids found in orange vegetables like carrots, sweet potatoes, okay? Anthocyanins, which give cherries their bright red color, okay? So other antioxidant examples are berries, blueberries, blackberries, citrus fruits, lemons, oranges, Brazil nuts, walnuts, dark colored beans like raw cacao, okay? Yes, it's cocoa, but it's bitter, It's not sweet at all, okay? So I'm not talking about chocolate. And then vegetables, in particular, spinach, peppers, asparagus, extra virgin olive oil. These are all superfoods, and they're all readily available, okay? Now, so many vegetables, they all have antioxidants. That's why, if you've heard, people, nutritionists will say, eat the color of the rainbow, because it's antioxidants that give them those colors, those beautiful colors. So eat the color of the rainbow, right? Now, out of all the antioxidants, there is one ingredient, chemical, that is called the master antioxidant. This master antioxidant basically supervises all the other antioxidants. It is called glutathione, okay? And it is produced in our body. But it is produced in our body naturally. But you can eat certain foods to boost the production of this master antioxidant, which is called glutathione, okay? Everybody needs glutathione. It is this antioxidant that keeps us healthy and prevents diseases. Glutathione, okay? Yes, you can get a supplement. We prescribe this supplement, glutathione, for our patients, especially for autoimmune patients. But we use it temporarily so that it gives our patients the opportunity, the time to get to a plant-based diet, okay? Not an animal protein-based diet, a plant-based diet, okay? So if we're talking about, if we know, everybody, so let's just use common sense. Everybody agrees that free radicals, eventually, if you don't take care of them, if you don't sweep them up, you don't gobble them up, free radicals eventually become cancer. That is a fact, right? And everybody knows the ingredient, the chemical that takes care of free radicals is antioxidants. Everybody agrees, doesn't matter what diet people love, everybody agrees antioxidants are found in plant-based foods, not in animal products, okay? So let's come back to glutathione. Glutathione is internally produced, but there's other foods that can help increase the production of it. What foods are they? They're foods that are rich in sulfur: onions, garlic, asparagus, avocado, spinach, and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, baby bok choy, cauliflower, cabbage. These are all cruciferous vegetables. Oh, wait, but my health practitioner, my doctor told me, oh, if I have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune for the thyroid, right, I should not be eating cruciferous vegetables because the latest research shows that there is goitrogens that destroy my thyroid. Hey, if that's what you believe, that's good. Let me tell you what we do for our patients and what we do that actually works for our patients, okay? We tell our patients, eat cruciferous vegetables. People who have Hashimoto's, eat cruciferous vegetables, right? You need the master antioxidant, glutathione, to help balance your immune system, help keep you healthy, help get rid of free radicals. So that's why we do the opposite of what these other doctors are saying, and we get results. That's why we have the most 5-star Google reviews in the entire North America. And so this is based off of clinical, real patients who have to pay money to get this advice, right? This is what we advise them, okay? Let's come back. So now it's important to supplement, to eat the right foods to benefit this, the production of glutathione. But it's also as important to prevent or stop eating foods that destroy your antioxidants, right? Because if you eat more foods that destroy your antioxidants than to supplement to help produce more antioxidants in your body, you're going to age faster and you're going to die faster, right? So what are the foods that will get rid of your antioxidants and make you age faster, make you dumber, and kill you faster, right? Scientists found foods that are high amounts of what's called AGEs, AGE, okay, AGE. What does it stand for? Advanced Glycation End Products, AGE, Advanced Glycation End Products. What are these? What does this do? What are these foods? What is this? These end products? What do they do? They contain harmful compounds like free radicals that can produce inflammation and negatively affect every cell and molecule in your body. So if a food is high in AGE, AGEs, advanced glycation end products, it will accelerate your brain aging, cognitive decline, and cause inflammation and give you diseases. Okay, so what foods are those? If you haven't already guessed, the foods that have a high amount of AGEs are animal-based products. That's what I'm saying. In our clinic, patients today, when they come in doing the carnivore diet, the keto diet, the Atkins diet, the paleo diet, or whatever animal-based protein diet, high protein, low carb diet, they've been flooding their body with AGEs, right? And again, what does AGEs do? It makes cognitive decline, increases your inflammation, makes you age faster, makes you degenerate faster, okay? So high in fat and protein diets. So this also includes butter, margarine, sausage, hamburger meats, pork chops. These all contain high amounts of AGEs, okay? So also, here's another thing. Those foods naturally contain high amounts of AGEs, but if you cook them, it increases the AGEs amount. That's just crazy, right? So if you cook them, it makes it even worse, especially in dry heat. So examples like fried bacon, broiled beef frankfurters, right? Hot dogs, right? So you may be asking, so what are the good cooking methods? What are the best cooking methods? Steaming, using a shorter cooking time, cooking at lower temperature, and cooking with acidic ingredients. So what does that mean? Lemon juice, vinegar, they help reduce the age level advanced glycation end products, okay? They contain harmful compounds that destroy every single cell in our body. If you add a little lemon juice, a little vinegar, right? So this is common in fish, but fish has less AGEs than like beef and pork, the land animal proteins, right? So if you add a little lemon juice, vinegar to those animal proteins, it helps decrease some of the AGEs. It's still going to have a lot of age, okay? So examples, poached eggs, steamed salmon are nutritious, low age, right? But what are the best low AGEs foods? And this is going to surprise you. Carbohydrate-rich foods. Oh, wait, but we're supposed to do low carbs, right? And so carbohydrate-rich foods have the lowest AGEs. So if your food has higher AGEs, it is killing you faster. Low age, it has sometimes most of them have antioxidant. So the low age foods are carbohydrate-rich foods. Now, what does that mean? I'm not talking about sugar. Okay, I'm talking about vegetables, carrots, tomatoes, apples, fruits, bananas, grains, oats, rice. Yes, here in the US, everybody's saying, don't eat oats, don't eat rice, don't eat grains. Grains are terrible for you. And I've mentioned this over and over, and I'll just repeat myself. If that oats and grains are grown here in the US, yes, it's terrible for you, okay? Because the farming industry has been commercialized to produce mass production, right? And so, yes, these are at the top of the age-free list, vegetables and fruits. So if you want to, achieve a restorative longevity, you want to slow down your chronic disorder, you want to slow it down or maybe even reverse it, you gotta focus on antioxidants. Antioxidants are vegetables, fruits. Okay, so this may not be what you want to hear, but again, if you're tired of suffering from your chronic degenerative disorders and you've tried all the diets, you've gone to a functional medicine practitioner, naturopath, chiropractor, acupuncturist, homeopath, and you know, if you are still aging faster, you're degenerating faster each year, you're just getting worse, or you're not getting better. Maybe you're staying the same, you're just not getting better, you're just sustaining, right? Chances are, part of your diet's not everything. Remember, the restorative longevity is not just a diet, it's a lifestyle. Diet is a part of it, but it's not the biggest part, okay? But if you are not seeing results with your health right now, let's say you're at the status quo, you're maintaining, and you're like, man, I wish I could have better. I wish I could be like I was before, right? Then you might want to try making these changes. Making these changes, focusing on a version of the Mediterranean diet, antioxidant diet. I call the traditional Chinese medicine diet or restorative longevity diet a plant-based diet, right? Now, do you just switch over immediately? No, you don't. Because whatever you were doing, especially if you were doing a high animal protein diet and you switch immediately to a vegetable, a plant-based diet, your gut is gonna feel like it's getting torn up. It's not, but it will feel like it. You'll get all bloated, gassy, you'll have stomach cramps and all these stuff. And you think, oh no, I can't do vegetables, I can't do fruits because, man, they're destroying my gut. No, they're not. It just feels like it, right? What they're doing, I like to explain is this. When you do an animal protein-based diet, those have no fiber, and so they make deposits. They generate a lot of waste, like ages. They produce compounds that accelerate aging. They can produce compounds that are killing every single cell in your body. They develop plaques. They're contributing to develop plaques. They will stick to your intestines. They will start building up. They make your intestinal wall thicker and thicker. Now, when you if your intestinal wall should, let's say it's called a lumen, so the hole inside your intestinal wall should be this big. But when you do a high protein diet for an extended time, the thickness of the hole in your intestines shrinks. It starts to get smaller, right? Because the walls are getting thicker. Because the animal protein is causing inflammation to swell, right? And so when it gets smaller, guess what? If you want to push, let's say you want to push a big stool through that, it's going to hurt, right? And that's what plant-based diets do. Plant-based diets are full of fiber, so they bulk up, but now your lumen, or the hole inside your intestine, should be this big, is now this big, and now you're trying to push a lot of fiber through that. Of course you're going to get bloated. Of course you're going to get pain and cramping and so forth. So you have to ease, right? You may have to do some blending. I would suggest doing some blending smoothies first, okay? So hopefully this helps, summarize, why the Mediterranean diet is the perfect diet. Again, you don't have to trust me. You don't have to believe me. You can believe what you want. This is just from evidence from real patients in our clinic every day. That's where we're getting it from. I didn't read this off of something. I'm not just saying, hey, I read all these research and all these research says this. No, this is real life examples of patients in our clinic. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. I will see you next week. A new topic, Sundays at 8 a.m. Central. Peace.
This episode is sponsored by Achieve Integrative Health, the #1 acupuncture clinic in the US. We're grateful for their support in helping us bring you the Restorative Longevity podcast.